All right, I got stuff to talk about.
Does it have to do with the fact that it's been 90-fucking-4 the last 5 days?
I know. It used to cut off around Halloween.
Yes.
It was always like, oh, boy. Now we're mid-November, at least out here in SoCal, and it's hot. But I was explaining this stupid theory to Sonny, but I'll explain it to everyone who's listening, which is it gets cool at night. Mm-hmm. So even though it's hotter and shit during the day is fighting the night. I know I sound like Jim Morrison now. But what I'm saying,
the night.
Night devours the day.
What I'm saying is like back in the day when I lived in my upstairs apartment that faced the west on Laurel Canyon with no shade and no tree, it would stay hot all day, and the outside stucco would heat up.
Yes.
Like it was basically one of those Indian pots you put in the. You put it in the fire.
Yeah,
and then
tandoori chicken.
Yeah, to make tandoori chicken in. But then in the evening, it wouldn't cool down sufficiently. Right. The sun would go away, but it'd still be hotter and shit outside, and everything was hot. All the parking lots, asphalt, concrete, the freeway, the whole urban jungle. It would heat up. Right. It would never cool down. Now, everything cools down at night. So even though it's hot during the day, the stuff is cool and it has to be sort of brought up to temperature.
Yeah,
so the
it's like a 20 to 30 degree drop.
The misery index isn't nearly as high, even though it's 90 outside. The cement and the sidewalks and the asphalt, and the pavement and everything, the stucco and everything got all cooled last night. And then it gets dark so early that it's in a way, it's a little snowbank into the hot tub, then back in the snow. It's when it never cools down is what drives me insane.
No, you're absolutely right. But after the summer we've had again, that is just, and I'm talking valley heat, and it sucks, and everything feels dirty, and it's November, I want to wear a scarf, I want to be a basic bitch, and when I tweet that it is 94 degrees, and everyone's like, oh, fuck you, it's snowing here, I'm like, no, you don't understand. This is borderline devastating. We don't want it to be 100 degrees.
I concur. All right, Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, was on Maher. I'll play that in a second. I'll also play this just as an example about answering questions. This popped in my head. So I was watching football, and Aaron Rodgers is coming back, and blah, blah, blah. And they had this headline, and I thought, what have you heard this headline 2 years ago? Just this headline. They said Aaron Rodgers was fined $14,000 after not wearing a mask to a Green Bay team Halloween party. And I thought 2 years ago would have been, well, they're really serious about fucking Halloween over there on that team.
Well, he didn't come in costume.
The Onion's diving into sports.
It sounds insane. He wasn't wearing a mask to a Halloween costume.
He was being a downer.
Like he's being a bummer.
He's out in the spirit of it.
Or he just showed up in his State Farm shirt or something.
Right.
We get a discount double jack.
Yeah.
Couldn't go as the other guy?
Yeah. Now, he wasn't wearing a mask, a surgical mask to a Halloween party. But it is funny when the headlines start blurring in the timeline. And you hear it with your old ears. Like, if he's fine because he didn't wear a mask to a Halloween party. Like,
and it was a crime.
Wasn't feeling it.
Maybe he wanted some punch. He took it off. Yes.
For that $14,000, and then I think the team got fined like $350. So somewhere $330. Where does that money go?
No one ever follows it. It's kind of like Black Lives Matter. Where's that money going? But it always goes. It's supposed to go to a fund, to a charity, to a something. It doesn't go up the GM's nose.
Gotcha.
All right, so this is interesting, and I'll tell you why I found this interesting. So I was watching Bill Maher over the weekend, and he brings out as his first guest in his side corner one-on-one conversation, Mr. Wonderful, because he's an entrepreneur, and they're going to talk about supply chains and economics and all that kind of stuff. But that's not really what I was interested in. It's when he walked out, he had his phone with him. And we'll play this exchange just as kids, listen up, because I'm going to give you a very teachable life lesson here.
But first up, he is a venture capitalist and star of ABC's Shark Tank. Kevin O'Leary is here. Wow. Kevin, how are you, sir?
Good to see you.
What are you? And you've got your phone with you?
I always carry the phone.
Even
I don't know,
on
it's
TV?
It's an extension of my being now.
Well, what are you, a fucking millennial?
It's got
All
a
right,
lot of
you can
information
stop
I
it for a
need.
second. Now, first thing is know your audience. So when I say audience, I mean, are you talking to a comedian?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you talking to a dumb fuck in Trader Joe's? You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
comedians.
Should be obvious, but dive in.
You don't get to just say things to comedians and they go, all right,
Anyway,
moving on.
fair
thanks for
enough.
clearing that up.
Turn the page. Oh no, they'll keep going. So he goes out there and he goes, yeah, I got my phone, and he goes, I always have my phone. Now there's a way could have probably put this to bed. We went, oh, sorry, I forget I have it in my hand.
Right.
Anyway, it's on airplane mode, and then we'll get on with the interview. But he goes on to say he kind of needs his phone, and then Maher, being Maher, is going to, we'll just play it from there, sir.
All the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we're here for 10 minutes on TV.
Okay.
What were you turning it off, or is it going to
Well,
ring?
You
or?
may be interested
I know
in
you're a
this, 'cause
busy guy.
I'm
Kevin,
a real foodie now,
but
and I've taken to monitoring my blood glucose, which is a
for
whole
the next 10 minutes.
I'm just checking it out. I'm interested.
Okay.
All right. So here's my whole point is people do this all the time. They go down this road. They can nip it in the bud. They can just go, I was in my hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so used to having it on me all the
But
time.
then
How embarrassing.
the person goes, yeah, but what do you need it out here for?
Right.
And then you could go, stupid, I know, right?
Yeah.
But then you go, I monitor my blood glucose. Which, if you say that to a comedian, he's going to go, shall you be monitoring your blood glucose during this 10-minute,
Right.
8.5
Yeah,
minute
now.
interview that I'm going to conduct. So he goes at it again. But it's a little rich man, poor man, because fuck-ups do this a lot too. Like 19-year-old kids do. It's like, you should have brought the phone up. My bad. Not going to happen again. Nope. It's like, here's why.
Yeah.
Here's why. And Kevin O'Leary's probably not been slapped on the hand in a while. Probably
No.
hasn't
Just
had
multiple sycophants.
anybody tell him anything. So in a weird way, he kind of shares what the 19-year-old fuck up has. Now he can pull it off because he's Mr. Wonderful.
Right.
But what I'm saying is no, and you guys tell me, but you always know you can't just go. It's kind of a kid thing, you know. They go, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm late. There was traffic, and then you go, do you have Waze? And they go, yeah. Okay, now we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going down this road. Anyway, I thought that was funny. I also thought about. I like to think about Brian and his mean grandma.
Oh, yeah.
And me and
On my off time.
my mean grandmother too. And I haven't mentioned in a long time, but I used to do this with her all the time when I was older. I'd call and she'd pick up the phone and she'd go, hello, and I'd go, hi, grandma, and she'd go like, okay, or something like that.
No greeting in return.
Well, you can always tell just by the way they pick up the phone. And I'd go, hello, grandma, and she'd go, yeah, right. Okay, are you guys coming over today? And I'd go, hello, grandma, and she'd pause and she'd go, hello, your highness.
Yeah, as though you demanded some sort of reaction.
Oh yeah, that was her move.
At least
That
her
was her
grandma
move.
talked to you. My grandma refused to talk whenever the home video camera came out because she didn't like the way her words sounded, her voice sounded. You know what I mean? She just clammed up, like, "Hi, mom."
Oh,
You know,
really?
my dad would have the camera.
Oh, with the video.
Yeah. Hi, mom. And it's just nothing.
I'm sorry. I can't wrap my head around a grandmother not being over the goddamn moon that their grandchild called. Honey, oh, my little Bubba, my Adam.
Everyone, quiet down. Adam's on the phone.
Yeah, right.
I was just scrapbooking with some of your clips from the Man Show.
Right.
No.
Adam's on the phone.
Your Highness.
No, I know. Well, when you get older, look.
Shit.
When you're, it's basically, it's like having, it's like being in junior high and having a really mean principal who hates your guts. it sucks when you're living it, when you're 12, 13, 14. Right. When you get older and you get successful, then you can kind of have fun with it. Yeah, and that's what I would do with her later on in life. And that's where I would keep repeating, hello, grandmother. Okay.
Have fun with it? You mean bring her a chantilly cake and have her shit all over you on national TV?
That's right.
Beats going back to middle school.
That's true.
Just to fuck with the old principal.
Yeah.
She was fine. Now, nobody beats Jimmy Kimmel's ex-wife in the phone etiquette department, which is, I think she'd had an ass full of me and Jimmy and our love affair early on. And I would call her. And she would pick up the phone, and I'd go, hey, Gina, it's Adam. Is Jimmy there? And then I'd just hear the phone drop. No, not click.
Just fall on the table.
Just fall onto the table.
That's what I meant. Set it down.
That's great.
No, I might hear her yell for him, but I would never hear, hold on, or let me get him.
Or any of that. So how are you?
No. All right. There's that. There's, let's see. Tell me if this, and as long as we're blasting from the past, Natalia had a few of her friends over, and I think it was Saturday night, and I was walking around. At some point, I opened the door to her bedroom. They're all kind of hanging out. One of the kids, one of the boys, was
boys.
Oh, I don't like this.
Yeah,
one of the boys.
Unless he transitioned in the last month.
Yeah, is he now a boy?
There may not be boys. You're right. He looked to be male to me.
Oh,
boy. Door was closed?
It's a hate crime right there.
Well, it was just their friends.
Okay.
Natalia wasn't even in there because she would start yelling at me. But he was wearing my neck pillow, my travel neck pillow around the house.
That is brazen.
And it's just like wearing it like as a goof. You know, he found it like sitting out on the table, put it on. He was walking around the house with it. And I was like, hey, that's my neck pillow. I was like, yeah.
Sure
just
is.
looking at
What
me,
do you
just
want,
laughing. And then I said to him, all right, well, at least help break it in. He was like, all right. He started moving his head like side to side and everything because I'm cool, Dad. But I think back on my childhood. If you're wearing Mr. Vendig's neck donut or holding his,
donut.
if you were holding his briefcase or had your foot in his shoes or something, it would have been like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I mean, it was such a weird shit with stuff.
Yes.
I also realized they have so much stuff in their world. Your stuff doesn't really mean jack squat to them either. Like that would have been, that's my neck pillow. I need to know where it is.
Right.
I don't want
Did you sign it out?
I don't want your greasy hair on my neck pillow. Like he was just laughing.
The difference being when we were all kids and we went over to our friends' houses and the parents had something like a hockey stick or a baseball bat or some collectible something, it had to be touched and played with and messed around with. Now the difference being when parent came home, we heard the keys in the knob. Oh, that thing went back up on the shelf right quick.
Mad dash. First off, anything in the bedroom, the parents' bedroom, was completely no-fly zone.
Obviously.
Anything like that.
Yeah.
Any watches or wallets or anything of that nature.
Ever went in my friend's parents' room?
Yeah,
Why would you?
Couldn't touch a thing. But yes, everything in the house was their stuff, including the food, and it was not for you. And it was a very strong. Also, your head was on a swivel. That their dad wasn't home from work, was coming home from work, was always going to show up in a bad mood. There's no way you'd be handling their junk.
Hell no. And to go one further, you probably didn't experience this much, Adam, because I know your house was set up a little different, and a lot of your friends were apartment dwellers, but there were whole rooms we weren't allowed to go in.
Oh, yeah.
And they weren't like the conservatory. It was just their split-level ranch living room that we weren't allowed to go into.
All right. We have, let's see, Rav Arora. He's a young journalist out of Canada. He's been on the show before. He's coming in to talk life. He's a guy who had a New York Post article about what it's really like to be canceled and how he overcame it. And he had a viral video or article and ended up on Rogan and ended up on this show and many others. I don't know. Is he here? Oh, okay. Yeah, well, go get him. Mm-hmm.
Retrieve him.
Retrieve Rav. And also, the idea that it took us 67 years of commercial flight to invent a neck pillow is kind of interesting.
That is kind of crazy.
Now, I'm guessing they won't be necessary in the near future because people are going to have such large neck rolls and jowls and double chins that they're just going to rest on a bed of their own fat.
Right.
But for now, for this brief period, we shall need them. Wearing it around the house. But really, when I walked in, he just looked at me like, hey, old man, what's going on? You out of neck pillow?
What do you think about this?
Good to see you, Rob.
Hey, it's good to be here.
You visiting out here from Canada? You in Canada full time?
Yeah, I live in Vancouver. I'm out here for about a week. I'm leaving probably Wednesday or Tuesday.
We had, I know we wanted to share that there's a couple things Rav would be interested. I'd be interested in getting young Rav. Rav, set the table for you. You're young journalist. How's it start for you?
Yeah, I graduated high school a couple years ago, and then I was bored out of my mind, didn't know what to do with my life, and then I started writing, and I was good at writing, and I had some interesting opinions, apparently, on political issues, so started writing for the New York Post, the Globe and Mail, a few other places, and a lot of people were reading it, so it went well, so I just kept it up, and doing podcasts and shows and chiming into the culture wars, and yeah, it's resonating with a lot of people, so I'm glad people are reading the stuff, and it's good to be here, being a young journalist and writing about issues that issues that are very important in Canada and here with vaccine mandates, travel restrictions. This is also my last trip, most likely, because of vaccine requirements, which really sucks. But it's good. It's good to be here and good to enjoy it.
You can check out his new blog on ravarora.substack.com. So this would be good. You'd be a good guy to weigh in on this. I was watching cable TV the other morning, and this commercial came on, and it's to me, kind of an eerie harbinger of where we're at. Do you have? And once again, why you must watch commercials, everybody. Commercials will tell you where we're at right now. They're not, I was saying to Dr. Drew earlier, I said, look, if I saw commercials, I see commercials, a lot of commercials now, there's gay couples, they're at home, they're talking about insurance, or they're talking about food, or whatever it is. You show me that commercial. Now, they don't go, hi, we're a gay couple. You know they're a gay couple.
Right.
You saw that commercial in 1997. You were like, what are those fellas hugging for?
Business partners?
College roommates?
Yeah. What are the middle-aged dudes? What are they living together for? Oh, one of them got divorced. Probably to move out. Water damage at the other dude's house. Like, where's his wife? But it now just sort of is.
Yeah.
And so the thing about commercials is they don't do a lot of, these are lesbian couples, these are gay couples, this is a mixed couple, or societal whatever. They just go, here we are. Yeah. Watch it. All right. So this is a 40-something-year-old black father and a 9-year-old black son with a skateboard helmet on, and he's got the skateboard, and apparently maybe he took a spill on the skateboard. This is where the commercial starts.
You okay?
It hurts.
Be careful, all right? No, it really hurts? When you go to the doctor and they don't believe you're in pain because of the color of your skin.
Oh.
Why is that still happening? I don't want him growing up having to deal with that crap. But with Oscar, he won't have to. They pair us with doctors who believe us when we say,
Ouch.
Out of frame.
Yeah.
With Oscar?
I feel very naive. Was this an issue?
With doctors who believe you, with black doctors or sympathetic white doctors or doctors who have been vetted to believe black people.
I like to think I'm up on just what cultural issues are. I've never heard of doctors not believing minority patients.
No, well, and not
I've heard it happens,
specifically not believing that they're in pain. I feel so naive. I didn't know this. I've never heard of this.
Would they even have this in Canada, Rob?
Well, first of all, I mean, a lot of doctors are minority background anyways.
That's also
South
true.
Asian doctors. Like, my family's like all doctors. I'm like the journalist guy. Like, my dad, sciences, my aunt, uncle.
What's your heritage, sorry?
From India.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was
Makes
born
sense.
there, moved to Canada when I was about 4 years of age. Yeah, but with this, like, doctor thing, like, you see a lot of this rhetoric around, like societal racism existing everywhere. I feel like these people just live in like a different universe. I feel like they're high on like the woke discourse.
Well, yeah, I agree. I'm sorry for cutting you off, but it kind of reminds me of when they talk about the systemic racism at schools and school boards and stuff like that. It's like, are you saying school teachers are racist? Like these are your
That's the implication.
These are your people,
Right.
right? Like, aren't these the college-educated young women who have their eye on the prize? Like, they're being racist? That doctors are being racist? Yes, you're right. You're not too many blue-eyed doctors these days out here. It steers towards certain nationalities these days, but there's plenty of diversity. Probably not as many black doctors, but certainly from a proportional standpoint, probably more Indian
Non-white,
and
probably.
non-white
Asian.
doctors. Are they implementing racism
Guess
as
so.
well?
This almost comes across like a class action lawsuit commercial. You know, like,
Like
oh,
have
maybe
you
I
been-
do have a pubic mesh. You know, like is this something that you've thought about
you would
before?
know, Gina.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, is this something that, like, it's just putting that idea in your mind when maybe you hadn't considered it?
It is a thing. I talked to Dr. Drew about this. It's not something that it's not in the zeitgeist. It's not something that we've heard of, but there is a thing within the medical community that this is a thing that was based on some study, but the study was kind of bogus or had holes in it, and nobody really subscribes to it. But this is, look, so if you're going to talk about systemic racism nonstop, eventually Wall Street's got to join in. I mean, if you wanted, all right, shark attacks aren't really a thing. They exist.
They've happened.
But they're not a thing.
Right.
But if you're going to make them into a thing and you're never going to stop talking about it, then at some point someone's going to come up with swim trunks that will prevent you from being attacked by
Shark
sharks because
repellent.
they want to sell swim trunks. If you're going to make it into a thing, then we're going to have a thing. But is this a direction you want to go as a society? Like, we're going to have a separate group over here who can talk to doctors who took a Hippocratic oath, but who don't treat minorities fairly. And then, is it just black? I cannot figure out the whole minority plan. The Asians are doing better. Eastern Indians are doing better than whites. Blacks from many parts of Africa who come here are doing much better than many whites.
Yep.
Like, how do we parse this thing out, this racism thing out?
Yeah,
Yes, Ron.
I've written a lot about this before, about minority groups in Canada and the U.S. Even black individuals that come from places like Nigeria, they are overrepresented at Harvard, and they're doing really, really well. And in many ways, it's like they're benefiting from this like black privilege, which you see more and more. Which, by the way, nobody talks about this. Like, you go anywhere, education, schooling, law firms, corporate America, it is objectively speaking a benefit being a person of color, black, Asian, Hispanic, whatever it is. And no one wants to talk about that. Everybody's talking about systemic racism. And by the way, the places that we talk most about systemic racism, that have a lot of crime issues, poor public education, all sorts of economic issues, these places like, Baltimore or the Bronx or Chicago, south side of Chicago, all these places are run by Democrats, and many of them, like city councilors, mayors, school attendants, principals, a lot of them are black too. And so I think the problem when we talk about systemic racism is a deeper kind of economic, social, cultural problem. And there are certain problems for sure, but to just kind of like talk about white supremacy and racism, you're really missing some of the underlying issues.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the point, though. I think miss the underlying issue and just talk about the stuff that kind of gets people kind of ginned up and agitated. And then also, you talk about something enough and it just kind of becomes what is. It's just so. Like, you see this commercial, I was like, holy shit. I was probably the only one who went, holy shit, to this commercial. Like, I had to like stop it and rewind it and go, what the fuck? I went on their website to try to figure out what was going on. That's right. I
Signed up for the silver plan?
I mean, is this from the 1970s? It doesn't feel like 2021 at all.
No, but I've long had the theory. And my theory is always, it's a micro and a macro theory. If you talk to any kept person who's financially well-to-do, who doesn't have a lot on their plate, right? If you talk to any person who's married to a rich guy or a dude who's married to a rich chick kind of doesn't have the responsibilities that we may have, lots of help, not a lot of first world problems. If you ever talk to that person as an individual, they'll tell you how fucking busy they are and like how overwhelmed they are, and they will take a crouton worth of a thing to do in a day and turn it into a full Caesar salad, right?
You think that Peloton's going to spin itself?
That's what they do. Yeah, it's usually like some sort of, I had to go down to UPS today, and then all of a sudden it just turns into this.
That was a whole thing.
The Donner Party coming over to California, like, then I had to. You've all known this person, right? And you're always thinking you don't have jack shit to do all day. How are you spinning this into this? Well, that's kind of the micro version of the macro version. Is there is no Jim Crow. There is no anything from the 50s, 60s, beyond, before, all that. It really doesn't exist. So the people in charge of ginning it up are doing what the rich woman or the rich guy does with their day. They're expanding it into, environmental racism and just making rock soup out of it. Like we gotta work extra hard. And that's why at a certain point you're like, that doesn't make sense. What do you mean environmental racism? Like, how does that work? And they start explaining to you how, cartoon characters are racist. They're, it's a business. They're never going to declare victory over it and like, okay, we've solved this problem for the most part. We can walk away. It's their business. So it's going to keep going. And all the businesses that it feeds, insurance companies and all that kind of stuff, they're in lockstep with them because they don't even know what's going on, but they know maybe they're going to get a check.
We're seeing, like, speaking of racism, I was looking at this the other day. There's a new study that came out that showed a massively growing number of white college students identifying as minority to get into colleges. Like you have like white people, white students who may be like 5% Native American or 10% black. Like, you can't really tell, but they're identifying with that because they know they'll have a leg up. So it's like people like in the progressive community, like they live in a world that is so fundamentally detached from where we actually are. We are actually at a place where you apply to go to Harvard or to a law firm or to any job in corporate America, you are black or a female or a woman of color, person of color, whatever it is, you have an objective benefit. There's actually privilege attached to that. It's not the other way around. White privilege is on the decline. Minority privilege is increasing as we speak.
Yeah, and then there's a kind of a sexual proclivities version of that too. It's kind of better to be gender fluid or something like that. The more of those boxes you can check about your race, your ethnicity, your sexuality, the more of that, that could just, if you think about it, I never went to college, but, I remember talking to guys who went to college and, they were trying to pad their resume, to get into college. Well, I was involved with the Young Democrats and I was speech and debate. They're basically, there's that part of the resume, the application, there's your SAT scores
extracurricular
and stuff like that. The extracurricular stuff, you're trying to pad it out.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this is kind of that, right? If you think about it, I mean, who wouldn't try to check that box if you thought it gave you a 10% better chance or 2% better chance?
I'm going to come out clean here. Honest to God, when I was actually applying to Ivy League schools a couple years ago, I didn't get into any of them, which, whatever.
Oh, as an Indian kid, that's kind of smart.
Pardon?
I said as an Indian kid, that's kind of smart.
Well, yeah. But I mean, I'm from Canada and we're not trained to take the SAT. So my scores were just like garbage. And I failed biology class in grade 12, by the way. I don't know why I'm announcing that.
I failed biology in the 10th. I beat you to it.
Yeah, oh, great. Okay. But I remember when applying for like Harvard, University of Chicago, Stanford, there was like an option for gender identity. And I was like, why not just like check the non-binary box? You can't like fact check that. I mean,
right.
Who are you telling? That's what it says in his license.
I'm a pretty like diverse guy. I feel a little feminine sometimes, a little masculine. Like, it depends. At the gym, I'm feminine. When I'm like, doing other stuff, I feel a bit different.
You're wearing the gold chain. I mean, that's,
Yeah. So now I'm masculine. I'm a chameleon. So
you think it's masculine?
Yeah. Yeah,
Look at
I switch
everyone in the
between-
NFL. Come on.
That's true.
This is
Every
the thing,
pitcher.
This is the thing with Gen Z, though, Adam. Like in my generation, more and more people identifying as like different sexualities, gender identities. It's really reaching to a point of like infinity. Like you can just make up your own sexuality, and then people will applaud you for it.
So this is all true, and we see it every day. And I could hear some voice in the back of my head saying, so what? Good. So it's been, in this country, and I'm sure many others, up until right now, it has been only a benefit to be a straight white male. I mean, otherwise it's been literally criminalized to be gay or to be in a biracial marriage or whatever. So it's like now this is, 5 seconds on a full clock. Like, also, like, it makes sense that the pendulum's doing this, yes?
Well, I think there's a couple answers to that. You say until right now, but you can go back maybe 30, 40, 50 years. Like, it goes back a ways. It's not right now.
50 years?
Well, that's when all the measures were passed. I mean, that's if you go back to...
But was it culturally relevant?
Well, first
50
off,
years ago?
50 years is 71.
I know. It's weird.
We're
I know.
beyond the 60s and all the civil rights
Yeah.
stuff.
Wasn't Prop 8 passed in like 07?
It was definitely, I was on Mark in the Morning, so it was after 2015.
Well, things are going to... I don't know if we want to do sexuality or
Sure, there's a
skin
lot of big
color.
umbrella.
Culturally, as opposed to like mandates, because sometimes it takes us a while to catch up and vice versa.
Yeah, well, things were different and things were better if you were heterosexual, white, and a male, although there were always examples of people breaking through
Sure,
from all
of course.
stripes and whatever. The question is do you get the playing field even, which is always... That's the decree. We got to
Right.
level the
Right.
playing field, or do we start tilting it back? Like, are we getting into reparations now? Like, are we getting
Right.
into... Because if you're Asian, you'd like an even playing field so you can get into UCLA. But
Right.
that's not how it works if you're
yes,
Asian. So
that's
now
true.
we're swinging it back the other direction. Now we're telling black folks that they should get with a doctor of their own skin color or someone who's gone through some sort of sensitivity training about boo-boos on black people. Like, I think the push isn't for the even playing field. The push is to... Now we're going the other direction with this.
I totally agree. And I mean, you failed classes. Jesus Christ. Let's get into my record. So I'm not exactly Bill Nye over here, but I'm just thinking when it comes to, I'm going to use all the wrong words. Let's get gravity, centrifuge, whatever. It takes a while to swing back to the middle. It's not going to go from one side straight to the middle.
But I don't look at it as I think it's a mistake to look at it as a pendulum because I don't know if it's a totally apt metaphor.
I don't
think
either.
the plan was to say, like, well, let's just say you had a small business and you went, all right, we want the same lunch break and the same safety and the same everything for all the rich and the poor and the brown and the white and the black and everything else. Once you got to that point, you wouldn't need to keep implementing things to go that other direction, which is, I think, is where the pushback is coming from for our society. I don't know anyone who doesn't want the even playing field. I think if you're the parent of the Asian kid who's not getting into Harvard, now you're pushing back because they could have stopped it. We'll just check the SAT scores and we
Right.
don't care what your nationality is. And those parents, I think, would have stopped there. And then
agree.
also, it's also like, it's one thing to say, okay, black people are equal, Asian, everyone's equal, all created by God, and everyone deserves the same rights and privileges, gay and straight and everything like that. And you go, okay. But then at a certain point, folks are now going further and they're trying to explain to white people why they have unconscious biases. And they're basically taking 11-year-old white guys and going, here's why you're bad, because you don't know that you're thinking or what you're getting. And now we're getting into some dicey territory.
Right, or
That's what I'm saying.
Or when we hear it's not enough to not be racist, you have to be anti-racist, and now you have to figure out what anti-racism is.
Right. And then if you say you're not racist, then that means you're racist. And if you say you're colorblind, that's a
That's
big
racist.
no-no. Just saying I don't really even recognize it, whatever Yes. Sorry.
I mean, I can like tell you, like Adam, like we can talk about your unconscious racism if you want. Me and Gina can team up here and just like,
Oh, that sounds fun.
just like shoot you in the face. Like Adam, like I don't know, man. I feel a little uncomfortable here being a person of color. Like
I'm
a little anxious here.
That's all I do is judge. By the way.
Yeah, I can see it in your eyes.
I factor everything in. By the way,
You can hear it in his words.
There's an article coming after the show in which I'm just going to rip you apart as a racist
Now we're talking.
monster.
Look, the reason I've been driving this hellscape known as Los Angeles and over the speed limit most of the time, recklessly sometimes, different forms of inebriation other times. The reason I have been driving for 40 years and have never made contact with another vehicle on the road.
White privilege. We'll be right back.
Yeah, thank you. Isn't because I'm lucky. It's because all I do is judge and do all this stuff. You know, when they tell you like, oh, you know, your preconceived notion. I have a preconceived notion of everybody on the road. I judge. I look at their car. I look at whether, first off, it's got dents. I'll see all the time someone who has like the right side of their car caved in, and they just did a dangerous right turn lane move with no blinker, and it's like, oh, I guess you earned those dents. It's all I do is judge when I drive.
That's like a rap. And also,
I do
judge, no matter what. Like we talked about how many years ago the Ben Gurion National Airport in Israel and how they were getting some flack for profiling.
It's all I do is profile.
Yeah.
Oh, when I drive,
very safe
all
airlines.
I do is profile.
Yeah.
That's all I do, and it's why I haven't made contact with another car. It's not everyone who gets in accidents. If it's not your fault, they do like, there's nothing I could do. There's nothing. I was just driving along. This guy comes along. If you profile, there are many things you can do. Done it many times.
And
Max Zapata's been in the car with me when I'm doing a lot of active profiling.
It's a weird looking dude in the back seat.
I'll never forget the time I'm just like, Mike, he's talking to Mike August. Let's not drive next to this guy. I don't have a good feeling about him. And Mike speeds up, and then in our rear view mirror, you just see his tire blow out. His hubcap just rolls across the freeway, and just like seconds later.
He's driving right next to this guy at 4 in the morning. And I was like, I don't like this guy.
The Sixth Sentra.
Always, here's the biggest troublemaker on the road. It's not the guy, it's not the gardening truck that's filled to the brim with the recycled plywood and the strap or the mattress. Scariest dude on the road is nice car, 2 years old, that looks like shit. Dirty, got a couple, BMW 7 Series flagship that's like 2 years old, and this guy has just fucking left it out, hasn't gotten it washed once, treats it like shit. That guy's high. That guy's something. Oh. You don't want to be next. That's who this guy was. It was like, I don't know who this guy is. That's a nice car. It looks like shit. It was at night. I still was 4 in the morning.
Cousin of that guy you want to avoid, especially you should go on the 405 out here a lot, but I'm sure he's everywhere. Guy whose speed vacillates wildly between like 60 miles an hour, 90 miles an hour. You're like, that guy's either fucked up, he's distracted, or he's just a maniac.
Right.
Sometimes he's driving super fast, other times he's dragging ass.
Yeah.
Somebody like me from a small town in Canada, like just driving here in downtown, it's absolutely nuts. Like I don't know how you guys do it. Like I was like driving out here with my Uber driver, and I seriously thought I wasn't going to make it alive a few times. Like he was taking all these like crazy turns.
That's a good driver. That's a good Uber driver.
He was a good driver. Yeah, he got me here fast. But like there was so many, like not like leaving enough distance between cars. Like everybody's just like zigzagging through. It's crazy.
We always bring up the kind of Asian thing and the college admittance thing and how they're kind of basically being discriminated against. Where are we at with your own culture, the Indian? I feel like Indian cultures are doing pretty well, pretty represented on campus. Are they?
Rob wouldn't know.
Are they doing
I'm here right now.
biology?
I'm pretty represented here.
Are they? Is there some of that going on, or is it just sort of de facto going on when you're going, we need X amount of group from every group represented sort of equally on our campus?
Like you're asking how we're doing in college?
Yeah, I mean, here's why I'm asking. When you hear about the pecking order here, you go, well, the Asians are doing the best. I think Eastern Indian after that, then white people, then Hispanic, then black. That's kind of the power rankings. But then you go, all right, well, the Asian, they're putting an emphasis on education. They're all going to college and blah, blah, blah. But then what about the Eastern Indian? Or is that
Southeast
same thing
Asian.
going on? Yeah.
South Asian. Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends which field you look at. And like, honestly, I find this whole discussion to be so stupid. Like, we need equal representation in like every field.
Yes.
Like, you see this in like Hollywood too. You see like people say there's not enough Asian representation, not enough Indian representation. But it's like you can't have equal representation everywhere, right? Like, you can't have overrepresentation of Asians in engineering and Google and doctors, but also in like in film and TV and Hollywood. You just can't have equal representation everywhere, right? Like
Well, you think about, I was thinking about this earlier today, who wins the marathons? All right, Kenyans.
Yeah.
Kenyans, I don't know what percentage of people who run a marathon are Kenyans. It's got to be way less than 40%.
Oh,
It's light. I mean, they're always up front, but there's a lot of blue-eyed devils chasing them.
that's right.
Indeed.
That's exactly
Maybe
right.
that's what's going on.
Yeah.
But so here's my sort of metaphor. Kenyans win marathons. Fine. Kenyans are pretty underrepresented as far as society goes, but they're way overrepresented when it comes to winning marathons, right? So then you go, if you just took it like it was a college campus, or you took it like it was a boardroom, or you wanted some diversity or whatever it is, then now no one has a problem with that. But let's just say you took the same rules and you go, why are Kenyans, why is this underrepresented group dominating this or winning all the time? You'd go, well, what's going on? And then in the boardroom, you go systemic racism. But when you're running a marathon, it's the same marathon for now. If it was uphill for Whitey and downhill for Kenyans, then that's what I'm saying. That needs to be fixed. But when it comes to the marathons, we go, no, everyone's just doing the exact same thing on the exact same course. And maybe Kenyans are a little better at this.
Right.
Or maybe they like it. Or maybe they train for it harder.
Right. And like we've talked about with the school board, instead of saying like, well, what have they done differently that makes them the best? We would say, well, you know what, the first 100 people, let's call them all first place.
Yeah, or just go, couple Kenyans, you're not going to, I don't care what your times are, we got to kick you back a couple. Now, who's not doing well? The Irish. All right, well, let's shove a few of those guys up front. Like, when you do it in that example, you go, oh, this is fucking nuts.
Right.
And by the way, it's going to fuck up marathons.
Right.
So we're not really going to know who the best runners are.
Yeah. It just happens to be the case that different groups from different cultures just prioritize things differently on average. Now, of course, there's a lot of difference between groups. Like you have, certain, let's say, Asian people who may not be as interested in academics, but others who really are. But like, you can find racial disparities everywhere. Like there was some data showing that black music artists win far more Grammys on average than white and Asian artists do. But
we
also,
stop that.
but also, we have to stop that. And also, but in the NBA, for example, as well, you have like vast black overrepresentation. Very few Asian and white basketball players that are hitting, all the, the top charts and in the top rankings. But like in education, in STEM fields, for example, you see an overrepresentation of Asians, but not Black Americans. But the explanation there is racism. But not when it comes to the NBA, not when it comes to marathons. It's anytime where you have a minority group that's underrepresented, the explanation is racism. But when it's the reverse, then it's just like, oh, whatever, the Kenyans are better. Black Americans on average, they tend to be better in the NBA. They tend to be, when you listen to the radio, you hear disproportionate number of top hitting songs that are by black artists. No one questions that disparity. But when it comes to underrepresentation for minorities, then it's obviously white supremacy.
Well, if you want to fix it, you can't fix it in the way they're trying to fix it. No. I'm with you if you would like to fix it, but doing it, getting rid of test scores or saying, math is in the eye of the beholder or whatever it is, that is not going to work.
I am so jealous. I mean, I was the worst student, and now test scores don't matter, and now it's all about
now the math is easy.
Yeah, just assume I tried my best.
Well, Andrew Yang will probably have some thoughts about that. Let me hit Klaviyo.com. If you're getting an online business off the ground, you're probably short on time and long on your to-do list. You need great email marketing to keep your customers coming back. Save time with Klaviyo, the email and SMS marketing platform built just for e-commerce brands, fast and easy to use. Create free accounts and start sending messages and driving sales in under an hour. Over 100 ready-to-go integrations, and you can pull unlimited data like customer shopping behavior and product recommendations right away. Even features built-in guidance to seize bigger opportunities and improve your results. It's Klaviyo, right, Dawson?
Get started with a free account at klaviyo.com/Adam. That's KLAVIYO.com/Adam.
He needed an intervention from Alice Cooper very early on in his career, which is basically, hey, all this fucking ghoul makeup, that's just for so I can hammer a check.
I really go golfing.
Then I go I live in Prescott.
Right.
And I fucking golf.
Right.
And I check my stock portfolio from the links. Like, you got to fucking drop it. This isn't a lifestyle. You're not
You'll take work home with
you're
you.
not an actual ghoul.